You might not burn and die in a literal sense, but you will mentally be gone. You're spiritually dead. Everything is not going to work for you after we done with this spiritual warfare, bro. I want you to understand that because you haven't been initiated. They told you masculinity was toxic, so you'd stay soft, compliant, and weak. Here's the truth. Your weakness is toxic, not your strength, not your edge, not your divine role. Don't believe me? Let me prove it to you. Masculinity is not toxic. You have to fucking get that into your brain. Being a masculine man is not fucking toxic. So they do what? They throw this word toxic on it to weaponize it against us, right? The men that will lead you, the men that will lead the youth, the men that will wake you up so that you can fucking see clear again and not be cluttered in your own fucking brain off of social media and all of the bullshit influencers that they push in front of your eyes. And you've probably never seen me before in your life, right? That's for a fucking reason. You must wake up to the idea that toxic masculinity does not exist. Before we go too deep in here, I want you to ask one singular question. Who benefits when men suppress their masculine edge? That is a one fucking question. Who benefits when men are not masculine? When we are emasculated publicly, when we are shown in dim light, when we are talked about in a toxic manner, when the masculine role has been taken away, who the fuck benefits? Because once you realize who benefits, you can then realize, oh shit, I see what the fucking program is and why it's trying to be stripped away, right? You have to ask these why questions to get deeper. You can't just accept it as law. And I say this throughout my entire catalog of fucking videos. Whatever is told to you and what is being programmed into your system cannot be taken as law without proper questioning. Does it fit the universal realm? And we've spoken about polarity, we've spoken about gender, we've spoken about energy, we've spoken about all these things, and you always have to ask, who the fuck benefits? Because once you figure that out, you're gonna realize you've been emasculated throughout society, and you see it happening to many men for a specific agenda. You have to even like go deeper within yourself and realize you seeing being masculine as a danger is softening you. There are situations that you need to purge in your life that you're not doing because you're scared of being masculine because they told you masculinity was toxic. And so that in your perceived brain, or you're perceiving it in your brain as dangerous, as being masculine is dangerous. So let me sheath my strength. Let me hide my strength. Let me run away from my God-given traits as a fucking male. Because you want to shy away from being hard, being edge, being truth to people around you and polarizing the fucking room like you're supposed to as a male. And you take this cuck fucking pill and continue to push the agenda that is softening you, men like yourself, and people that that society actually fucking relies on. Right, you can go down the fucking rabbit hole. You've probably heard the analogy already. Men go against men, right? When there are men versus women, who do women call? Men. This whole society structure is built off of masculine energy to then protect the feminine, to then work and cohesively work to create other things. Right? There has to be a polarization. So when you take away the full masculinity, make everything fucking feminine, dull all the men that society rely on, what the fuck do you think happens next? Collapse. Why would they want collapse? We're not gonna go in that far before they fucking take this video down. But you have to understand that they're trying to take away your masculinity for a purpose, and you yourself are going to internalize that and think that you need to be softer. You need to sheath your masculinity. You need to hide away from speaking your truth. You need to run from the polarization of a room or an environment or a relationship or a group setting. Before we dive even deeper, there are two things that you have to identify. There is one thing, right? There's one thing in being a divine masculine versus an immature masculine. There are two different things. Being a divine masculine isn't just hoo-rah-rah, hold crystals and sit in the corner and pray to the gods and call on to spirits. No, that's not it. Being a divine masculine is understanding that you are here to polarize. If there is a feminine energy, you are here to be the masculine energy in the room. This is not baby ego filled masculine. That's immature. No, this is, I know my duty. I know my calling. I understand what I'm supposed to execute on. I know what truth is. I know how to polarize the room and just be truthful in my masculinity, right? There's no shame in that. And there shouldn't be shame in your being. But when you have these immature masculines running around and telling you what to do with women and fuck this and do that and blah, 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 but inside they're fucking broken, trauma-filled dumps of, that's really what they are. Everyone's walking around being an immature masculine with a child inner being that's just operating as an adult filled with trauma. And they're the ones that get glorified because immature masculine then can be pushed as toxic because they have toxic traits, right? But a divine masculine, man, there's nothing toxic about it, right? And so what you'll see is this is filled by, let's change the color here. This is filled by a few things. This is ego. This is trauma, wanting to flex almost. That's what immature masculine is. There's no initiation. Let me write this in black though. No initiation. Oh, but what is initiation? Initiation simply is going through hard enough things, pressure, right? In life, being thrown around in this realm to understand good, bad, indifferent, understanding how your masculinity helps you out of certain situations, being battle tested. A lot of these motherfuckers over here are not battle tested, right? They haven't gone through life enough. They haven't experienced delay, right? They may have blown up too quickly. And those are the people that you see on the internet spewing bullshit filled with ego, trauma, and flexing. They haven't done the inner work, the spiritual war that we all are going through on a day-to-day basis. They can't even operate or understand that level of frequency / energy. They sit there in this level, ego, trauma, and flexing, that then push this immature masculinity to the world because it's a part of the agenda. Because then we can slap the name, or they can slap the name of toxic onto this masculine piece that then take the entirety of the masculine population and deem us as dangerous. So then what does that do? That shuts down the men that are actually in their divine masculine, that have done the work, that have gone through the hardship, that understand the spiritual game that's being played, that understand polarization, right? That understand the initiation, right? Because if a masculine man, right? If an immature masculine man is filled with ego and never has an ego death, is filled with trauma and never has done the inner work to get over his trauma, and then falsifies his masculinity with the projection of flexing to everybody else to show them that I'm some big macho masculine man, that is the immature masculine with zero initiation. There's nothing to break these things from his masculinity. So he grows up understanding that these are the things that keep him in check, right? And some people even, let's go here. Women. That's a big one. Because what these immature masculine men do is surround their space with women to get the eyes of everybody else, to showcase that, hey, I'm masculine enough to polarize a woman, therefore you should follow me and listen to the words that come out of my mouth. And there's no spiritual backing, no law, no polarity, no divine feeling behind the words that they speak. They just give you law, quote unquote, that you pick up and run with because you also are trauma filled, have an ego, and would desire to flex because they get put on the pedestal. While divine masculine understand the slow burn of being a spiritually masculine man that can divide and understand rooms by the energy and the frequency that's going on within it, and operate as the anchor within the room because I'm grounded in myself and understand myself deep enough to know my mission here in this realm. And that's not hoo-hoo, rah-rah spiritual shit. It's just what it is. It is truth. And these men fear truth. And you can differentiate the two of these when they get into the same room. And they probably don't even occupy the same space, because what does coward-like behavior filled with ego, filled with trauma, filled with flexing, filled with women driven? They run from these men, because then what do these men do to these men? expose them for what they are. Right? You can't come on the internet in the real world. You can't run from me when I walk into a room. You can't back down into a corner with your little bitchin' and your little fucking Lamborghini and your money, right? I have it too, but mine isn't based off of trauma and ego. It's the true polarity of my truth, right? They talk about aura. You wanna see aura? Put these two men in the same fucking room and see who crumbles. See who backs down first. See who gets emotionally triggered because I show up. You have to start to understand the game that's being played against you. And don't take your path as harsh, because more than likely what you're doing is going through the initiation phase. You're going through the phase that most men crumble under and flee into their ego, women, trauma, and try to flex, because it keeps them away from the hardcore work that must be done to become a divine masculine. Simply put, I want you to start to understand or overstand and start to download what I'm telling you right now. If you made it this far into the video, I want you to like, comment, and subscribe. And I also need you to now take notes on what I'm about to tell you. This man here creates one thing: chaos. That is what happens. Chaos. Why? Because what this man does with his women, the ego, and the trauma, and the flexing, you create chaos, because not only are you weak, because you're clinging on to things that are fleeting from you. Your ego's fleeting. You're gonna jump in and do things that do not help you sustain your masculinity or sustain what you've built, right? It won't sustain the life that you're living. Your ego, it will burn everything if you're not careful. Trauma also, you can build a huge empire on trauma, but you're a weak, feeble person, right? So you'll come against opposition that your trauma may shield you from a bit, but when true opposition hits you, you have nothing to rely on, because you haven't gone through the inner works to know that you can get through the trauma. And then worse, you still have wounds from your trauma. So if they're touched, rubbed, hit, slashed, they bring out a different side of you that cannot hold up against whatever is coming at you. And women, we already understand how they operate, so we don't even need to go down there. So chaos is what ensues when the immature masculine is in charge. Right? Because what ends up happening is your chaos comes from abandoning your edge to lead. Because you can't lead warriors with a feeble sense of self. Right? So your ego's gonna tell you, I need to go. I need to get all the women, I need to get the car, I need to get the money, I need to stay with the traumas to build, because that's what I've been taught. And we talked about the survival framework. So if you've built off of trauma, you're built off of a survival framework, which is not going to last, because there are gonna be times where you need to slash, kill, destroy to rebuild. And you cannot kill, slash, and do all the destruction that needs to be done within yourself, within the environment that you're in, if you're working off of immature masculine that feeds off of ego, women, trauma, and flexing. And so there you then ensue chaos by abandoning your ability to lead. You cannot lead men that are looking for divine masculinity to help them get to a certain outcome so that they can fight a bigger battle within themselves, within the world, and within their spiritual realm. It's just not gonna work. And what do these men really build, right? So if they're building on these four things here, and of course there's more, this is not just the end of your immature masculine. What you're building here is you're building a mask that can be shattered. Easily shattered too. These men go nuts when they lose what they have in their hand, which is material. And material doesn't get you too far, right? It might impress the women. It might soothe your pain for a little bit. It might help when you want to get a mass following of other soft men. But divine masculine men will see right through you, because we realize that you're pussy. You're not worth shit. You haven't been tested, you haven't done the initiation, so you don't really build anything. You build a mask so that people see the mask and don't see behind it. But people that are actually looking and observing and watching you silently, your downfall's coming, and they probably can foresee it before you do, because you're so wrapped up around this. And these people will abandon their leadership because your ability to lead is something that most men don't even comprehend as valuable, right? They just want these immature things. To lead your family, to lead your group of men that may be around you looking for inspiration, to lead with your vision, that is where your power comes from. And you need true masculinity. You need your spiritual divine calling to harness you correctly to the ground, right? So that you get a proper firm standing and foundation before you build some big ass empire. You see motherfuckers trying to build empires off of this shit and it crashes. We can call it over and over and over. You can recall all the fucking people who had played as fucking masculine, built an empire, and this shit fell. Burned to the ground. Publicly or silently. Motherfuckers just disappeared. No more speaking. Now I know I went hard on the immature masculine, so let's get to the divine masculine. So here's things that come into play here. Let's go. Holding frame. And I'm gonna break each one of these down once we get them all out, right? So holding frame. Knows himself. Presence. Let me get a raw truth. Frame, holding presence, and knowing yourself as a masculine man is going to not only increase the amount of things that you get, so all of these material things, but your spiritual grounding will go through the roof. When you can ground yourself in the vision that was given to you, that you know is true to you, you no longer have these emotional roller coasters that these men will have. You can hold tight in the storm when it's coming at you. As a matter of fact, you'll probably foresee the storm and walk towards it because you understand that not only is the storm going to give you the things you need to last and build you up, you're going to be able to then teach men that come to look to you for not only advice, for guidance, and sometimes this guidance isn't even spoken. A lot of the things that I do in my life are not surrounded by speaking to men, right? I just do the work and men follow suit because they see the byproduct, which can sometimes be women, money, respect, all of these things, aura that's felt in the room, and people can ask you about what you do. And if you stay true, you not only are showing them that you know yourself, but you can stand in the presence of answering a question directly that hits somebody's core and not just their ego. Because these men will play you and be like, yo, the Lamborghini comes with this, the women with the fat ass because does this, your trauma, blah, blah. Well, no, they hide the fucking trauma, but they'll flex on you. And so it hits a piece of your ego that's like, I want to be like that. I want to do that, right? But they don't preach about how to know yourself, how to stand in firm presence and with frame. You want women, but you can't stand in front of her with a hardcore frame to tell her what's yes and what's no, what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, what you're going to compromise for and what you're not going to compromise for. And a lot of the shit that you're not going to compromise for builds you up to know yourself and your vision. Matter of fact, we're forgetting one because that's a huge one. Vision. Fuck. Vision. These men have insight on themselves and where they're going and how they're going to get there because of the amount of storms that they have weathered and learned from. We don't run from storms. We stand here in truth and know that, okay, a storm's here. Great, come wave over me. Let me learn my lessons and continue because the next storm is right ahead of me and I want it. This is not, I don't need to flex for you. I don't need to show you money. I just need to stand in front of you and look at you and speak my truth and you will feel it. You ever watch a video on YouTube or hear somebody speak and it's just like, that's not hitting. He might be saying the right shit, but it's just not hitting. I can tell from the fire in your eyes and the way that you speak and the way that you care. You ain't really go through no shit. You ain't really deal with yourself yet. You just trauma dumping. And by a byproduct, because the fucking society that we live in rewards trauma, rewards the fucking ego, rewards flexing, and rewards the person that looks like he got a lot of women, you then think you could play. But the reality of it is a lot of people understand it as false, but they don't know how to get to this place. And so you get to that place by sitting in silence. And we've talked about this before, stripping your environment of all the things that are false to the vision that you have in your brain, the voice that you have within you, and knowing where you're gonna go. If you strip all the false and all the lies and declutter your brain, you will then hear the true you, and all of this no longer applies to you because you realize these are byproducts of getting to the actual place of knowing yourself and getting to a spiritual place where you now feel that you can polarize anybody and anything by holding your frame, showing up as you are, and knowing yourself. And so nobody can fucking change this one about you. No one can change you from you. You know yourself. That's not toxic. Whoever the fuck told you that's toxic can go sit in a fucking ditch and dig their grave for all I care. Because that's what they're awaiting. They're dulling themselves, they're shutting off their fire, and they have no vision for where they're going nor the people that they're leading. And really, it's not leading, it's misleading. You know, I don't like these videos where I'm talking and not giving you a solution. And like I touched upon a second ago, staying still so that you hear yourself is yes, one way, but a more practical way of finding your voice is by having a blueprint that you follow every single day. People call it a daily routine, whatever you want to call it. You must do these things every single day to find exactly who you are and what you're supposed to be doing on this fucking planet. So what I want you to do is create a routine. Create a routine, right? Whatever that looks like for you. It just needs to have a moment of silence so you can stay still and be able to handle that pressure, right? That is your form of resistance to the outside world. I don't care when you do it. I don't care where you do it. You just need to do it on a daily basis so your body gets used to resisting the bullshit that's been fed to you. And you're still going to have to operate within the bullshit, because don't get it fucked up. When you start to ascend in your spiritual understanding of who you are, you're going to feel like you're going crazy because you're still stuck in a realm that is feeding everybody bullshit, including you. So your ability to resist it is what helps you find your inner voice again. Because that resistance is like small little daily storms that's equipping you with the knowledge, the ability to fight the bigger spiritual war that's going on right now. You hear everybody talk about this spiritual war, this is what they're talking about, but no one's breaking it down. So what I want you to do is have a moment of silence, at least 10 minutes a day. And you've probably heard this before if you watch my videos. 10 minutes a day, bare minimum, right? You should be doing more than that, but bare minimum, daily sit in silence to resist the urge of the bullshit being fed, right? You also need to stay active. In that routine, you also daily want to get your body moving. Having your mind be fortified by physical activity will change the trajectory of your life and change the type of masculine man you are. You see this holding frame and presence and knowing yourself that we're talking about? That is cultivated by your ability to harness your brain. If you're allowing your brain to be overran by ego, women, trauma, and the ability to flex, you're not going to have the strength that you need to fight the storm. If you couple mental fortitude by working out, because working out is more of a mental game than it is a physical game, along with the stillness of your mind when you get back or meditate or whatever, at whatever point in the day you start to stay in that stillness, to resist the bullshit of the negative things that are coming into your brain, you're fortifying your mind and you're feeding your brain. And if everything, like we said before, is mental, this is a mentalism game, everything comes from you, the universe is in your brain, you can create everything that you desire, and you want to get your divine polarity, your divine masculine, this is where it starts, right? Because what? Your thoughts make your emotions make you move, which is just action. Your actions then create your reality. Right? So you want these byproducts and you want them to last a lifetime and be able to stand with you when you're going through a storm. You want a woman that doesn't run from you. You want fucking money that stays for you and is stable. You want the car, the flex, the whatever. You need to be able to harness your brain so that you can then have the emotions, to then have the actions, to then create the reality. And that's this is how you fucking do it. A daily routine. Next, I want you to embrace aggression. They lied to you, bro. You need to embrace your aggression. But it needs to be what? Wait, let's make this very clear. It needs to be aimed. You need to aim it at something. Aimed. Not uncontrolled. So your aggression needs to be aimed towards a goal that is bigger than you so that it lasts, right? Some of y'all get aggression for these little ass tasks that you need to do. What, you want to fuck her, right? You want to fuck some pussy? That's really what you angry about? You want to get $10,000 a month? That's really what you mad about? Because the reason why I say it needs to be bigger than you and not just ego filled. Let's write that down. So not ego filled, right? This aimed aggression cannot be ego filled, because once you fuck the bitch that you're looking to fuck or get the money that you're looking to have, what, it disappears? Your aggression is just gone and now you fall back into your ego, your trauma filled bullshit? No, you need to sit and find a goal, a vision that is bigger than you, that requires your aggression to come to you every single fucking day. This is a concept that is bigger than you. This spiritual war is going to sieve out a lot of y'all soft motherfuckers, bro. I'm telling you. Y'all niggas gonna think that this is the way to go, and then the shit really gonna start. We're gonna be in the middle of fucking warfare, and you're going to fail, and you're going to burn and die, I promise you. Maybe not in a literal sense. You might not burn and die in a literal sense, but you will mentally be gone. You're spiritually dead. Everything is not going to work for you after we're done with this spiritual warfare, bro. I want you to understand that, because you haven't been initiated. It's just true. So your aimed aggression cannot be fucking ego filled, because once you get the thing, we're creatures. Once we get the thing, it's over with, right? Does this mean there's anything wrong with having these ego filled things? Yes or no. There's nothing wrong with having some sort of ego to have and want material things, but understand that they are the byproduct, not the reason for the vision. Because once you get the thing, then the vision disappears because you have the thing now. No, your idea and your fight and your aggression needs to be aimed at something bigger than you and what you can get within this lifetime. Because realistically, you're not going to accomplish it. It cannot be accomplished. Is realistically what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's going to give you enough energy to give to the next generation, to continue the baton. You see what I'm saying? The idea and the fight needs to be so big that you in your lifetime cannot finish it and must teach it to others, because it forces you to refine yourself hard enough and deep enough and get to the pits of who you are to give to somebody else, so that they can also take that power and then push it in their lifetime, and they're not going to complete it, so they push it to the next generation. You see how this works? Because if you fall here, that's where generational curses lie. That's why generational curses are a thing, because nobody is looking at the trauma-filled baton and saying, wait, this isn't right. Fuck, why would I pass this on? They're just filled with all of these falsehoods that is bigger than them for the reasoning why they do it. But realistically, it's feeble compared to this, because this will outshine the fucking immature man, like we said before. And you want that to continue to be, once you find it, once you defeat this one time, once you get over this side of masculinity and convert to this, and you go through the initiation, you don't want it to then just go away. You hear about money being dissipated in bloodlines. People could be at the biggest fucking family in the world, but they drop. Why? Because the vision isn't big enough to harness into the next generation of people to then take that same idea and run with it. They just squander what whoever the fuck worked so hard on for however long they did it, their lifetime. And they just reap the benefits until the benefits run out, and they don't even know how to harness it or create it. So then it depletes and goes to what? Shit. You don't want this to be forgotten. Right, and lastly, let me just leave you with this. And if you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed, I need you to do that right now and pass this on to a male that needs this video. But the world is looking for light bearers of truth right now. People who are spiritual warriors, people who are looking to fight a mission bigger than themselves. The world is dying for that, because this has consumed the world so much so that the people who are watching this happen are, yes, silent, right? but they aren't dumb or blind. So they see the fucking potholes in this mission and they're like, bro, this don't make no sense. This not gonna work long term. But they're not getting the facts behind why this will work. Because what the agenda has pushed you into the direction of believing that toxic masculinity exists when it does not. You need to be a divine masculine man who is rooted in purpose and grounded in his spiritual truth, that is dedicated to a mission bigger than himself, so that the world can now see that, hell yes, this is where we need to be at. Right? And so you have to at least dedicate yourself to finding yourself. I think that's number one. So make that routine, like I said before. Make the routine and stick to it until you find yourself. Do not let up until you find yourself. I don't give a fuck what you do. Do not get caught up in this ego-filled bullshit that is feeble to compare to the divine masculinity. Stay in your spiritual groundedness and find truth. And wherever truth is being spewed out, treat it as a lighthouse. And you also need to be a beacon of light to those around you. Is it easy? No. Do people like that? No. Are you going to polarize rooms? Yes. Will you be targeted? Yes. Will people like you? Fuck no. Because you're awakening a side of them that they've never seen before. And a lot of people are so deep into this bullshit that when you show them a mirror to what's really going on in their life, they're going to run. So let's be real. Understand that it is spiritual warfare going on, and the reason why they run is because they haven't equipped themselves by going through initiations to realize that there is a spiritual war going on, and they just didn't do the work to have the sword and the fucking shields ready, right? So be a beacon of light by example of showing people your truth. Don't get all scared and skittish when your shit starts to fall apart, when your life starts to fall apart. No, don't get skittish. Just remember that you were once over here, whether you realized it or not. We all were. It's just true. The majority of us who sat on this side, but those who then realized that their initiation was happening and took it full force instead of retreating to the comforts of this bullshit, then rose to the top. But we don't rise to the top in public eye for a reason. We'd wake too many of y'all motherfuckers up, and then what? The shit would go, there would be no more agenda, because now we at literal war, right? They start killing motherfuckers, right? So work on yourself, find that routine, and listen, in the description, Objective View is here. There's a community of men ready to fucking receive you and help you find your truth. I am here to be a beacon of light for you so that you can realize the truths that lie within you. They're deep inside, but they're there. And if you're ready to expose that truth and start to walk in your frame of masculinity, hit that link in the description and join Objective View. If that didn't fucking work with you, argue with your mom, because maybe she might make some sense out of this bullshit. Boy, Mr. Brown.